everybody. This is Tasha with Prep For It and my lovely co-host Mouse Toes from the Mouse Toes channel on YouTube. Welcome. So tonight we are talking about prepping for power outages, both short-term and long-term. Most things will apply to both, but there are some things you need to think of in long-term power outage situations that you might not have to deal with short-term. Let's see who all's out there. Gardner, Josh, Brenda. We have Creative Redundancy. I know I saw Sandra out there somewhere.
She's there.
So, and not sure if anybody else is out there, but we'll just go ahead and get started. Let me look and see if who all's over on Pilled. May not have started yet. Let me do some checking here. CB's is over there, so if it, let me go over to my regular page and see if it's live now. Yes, we're live. Awesome. Hey, everybody over there on Pilled. Good to see you all. Let me see if anybody's saying anything over here. Let me mute this so that, yep, I had it loud. So, it's still playing. Let me pause that. There we go. All right. So, hello, everybody over on Pilled as well. Sorry, trying to go to screens at once. So, hi, Iva K. All right. So, whether we lose power due to storms, infrastructure failure, rolling blackouts, or even long-term events such as an EMP or CME, we need to take steps to ensure that we're ready should that day come and when that day comes. I mean, if nothing else, just from storms or rolling blackouts, guys. And I typed all this up, so let's see. Preparing for power outages in the summer versus the winter are different in several aspects, but for the most part, most applies in any season. So let's look at our basic necessities. Mouse and I are going to talk about shelter first, okay? Well, most power outages don't really affect our shelter, okay, to be honest, unless there's like a major hurricane that's displaced you, a tsunami, something like that, okay? Most of the time, you're still going to have your home to be in. But the thing is, you know, having items on hand to prepare your home to better keep out the elements. So if it's hot, you want to cover your windows and things like that to help keep out the heat, the sun from directly. So you can use foil and tape foil up in your windows to reflect the heat off. In the winter, you can put weather stripping around it and also cover to keep the cool and drafts out. And also, in a long-term situation, you also have to think about protecting your shelter from intruders. So you have to think about that. To keep out weather, only open doors or windows when absolutely necessary. If you have an entry point where it's basically like a little hallway when they're walking in, that'd be a good way to like create an additional door with some plastic or blankets or something so that the wind isn't just whooshing in and your heat or cool that's in your house isn't just going out. So it's like a little sealed in entryway. And that's a great to have as a barrier. Let's see. What other tips do you have, Mouse, as far as shelter goes?
Good Lord. Okay. I'm reading Creative Redundancy, right? Because they live in a snow zone. I live in a hurricane zone. And I like what you just talked about for a snow zone, right, is sort of creating a foyer or a double door system. In the South, right, after a hurricane, it's usually, 101, 98 degrees. I have to keep mosquitoes out because I'm going to have to open all my windows. We have enough screening on hand to rescreen every screen in our house. Because if you get a hole in that screen, you're not going to be sleeping at night, nothing. You're not going to be able to leave blueberry muffins out, anything. They're going to be all over the place. So the difference, and I talked about if it's a tsunami, same thing in a snow zone. creative redundancy could have so much ice buildup they could develop a roof leak. So what the main thing I need is tarps. If I need to get up on that roof and put the hangers on to say that the storm ripped off some shingles, what I don't need is water dripping into my house, right? Over my bed, over my ceiling fans. So I like how you address that for security, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
You have anything else on shelter? Which we know,
Yeah. Well,
like you live in a hurricane zone, so
yes.
having something block the windows from the outside as well
Mm-hmm.
from flying debris and things like that.
Yep.
And
just
very
what
important.
you said. What about security? You're not going to sleep with your screen door on your door, right? Closed.
Right.
So, and you have to have a way, first of all, if you use defensive weaponry, you got to literally keep your powder dry. Okay. So, how do you keep that with you so that, let's say, you've got some holes in your house or it's peeled back, people still know that you have canned goods in there, probably some stored water. How do you protect it? Same thing with snow, right? But you have a major issue with your house structure, you have to be able to defend it. So I'm very much with you on the security of your shelter. And if you have enough tarps and know how to secure that over your roof, right, then you can stay there where your items are and defend what's yours. So I like that you brought that up too. Oh, like Tasha is like so frozen, on my screen. She's frozen. Oh God, I'm here all alone. Oh my God, I'm adorable. Okay, so anyway, she's gonna come back. So that will help because I'll talk to your ears bleed and you'll all run out here screaming, and that will be terrible. And would someone please type yes in caps if you can hear me?
Lost me for a second.
Oh no, I was scared. But I'm very shy and
It just froze up, and that was it.
Nina Bug,
Hey,
our
Nina.
Nina's here.
How are
Mouse,
y'all?
your face froze like this. I was like, is it me or is it her? I don't know which.
It was you, because I checked on the StreamYard side and you were like this. And so I was like, okay, so it's just us in the side chat. Everyone don't run out of here screaming, calling the police. It's going to be fine. Now we have adult supervision in Nina.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so those over on Pilled, I had to shut that screen down because I just don't have enough bandwidth right now. Apparently everybody and their dog's using it right now. So I'll try to pull it up on my phone and see if I can do it like that. So I'm very sorry about that.
I have to say something. I want everyone to know that I don't know what the heck Pilled is, Foxcraft, whatever. I don't know. I'm old and I don't want to learn. But she is two-timing us on another stream. That's all I'm going to say. She's talking to other people in a side chat who we don't know. She doesn't want us to meet them. I'm just saying, y'all, she's two-timing us, okay? Because we need Tasha and we love her and we want her all to ourselves. I'm good now. I'm fine.
I'm sorry. Okay, so I have no idea what you said.
Oh Lord, now she's roboting.
Oh no.
God, now it's going to make us do the song.
I
right?
know.
So I'm assuming, are we still having issues?
I look fabulous. You look like a robot. Nina looks great.
Okay, I'm going to take my screen. I'm just going to take them off. Just okay. Mouse, you all look fabulous.
Like a stroke like Southern and most Illinois said.
Okay, so now hopefully everything's okay. I don't sound robotic,
Perfect.
do I?
No.
Okay.
Sound good to me.
All right. So let's go into water. So of course we need to store at least 1 gallon of water per person per day, just for drinking. That's and then if somebody is ill, if they're vomiting or have diarrhea, they're going to require much more. So you have to think about that as well. Or if they're running fever, things
Mhm.
like that. Um, so
Yeah,
then you
don't
also need
forget.
additional water. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I interrupted. I'm lagging. I'm sorry.
That's
Don't
okay.
forget
Go ahead.
if you have extra space in your canner, put you some empty jars that you need to fill up your canner. Put some water in there, can it so you have sterile water on hand for wound care. Know why
Yeah.
you know why I'm thinking about wound care? Because I've been dealing with that crap all day in charts, okay?
Yes.
Wound care. It's all in my brain today.
Absolutely, and it was a great point. Can water so that you have distilled water for whenever you're, the sterile water for using for wound care. If you don't have your canner completely full, just add those jars in there and can up some water. Okay, so we also need additional water for cleaning ourselves, dishes, laundry, things like that, guys. So if we see we have storms coming in, we fill up our containers with water to have extra on hand so that we're not having to go into our stored water, okay? Having things like water bobs, which is a big collapsible container that you can put in your tub and fill up, having them on hand could save your life. In most cities, water will continue to flow for a short time after the grid goes down. So immediately, if your power goes out, get to filling your containers right away. There's no guarantee how long that water will continue to flow or how long the power will be out. So it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. If you experience a long-term outage, such as from an EMP or CME, you're going to need a way to continue to secure water, such as a rain catchment system, a well, a way to get the water out of that well. So either a solar generator or a gas-powered generator. But even then, the gas-powered generator, yes, hand pump. But the gas-powered generator, if you don't have access to enough fuel stored up with stabilizer in it, eventually you'll run out, depending on how long-term the power outage is. Access to a nearby river or creek, and a way to purify that water if needed. Anything else on the drinking water, water for cleaning, things like that, you two?
You know those big containers that you get that liquid laundry detergent in? You
Yes.
wouldn't want to use that to store water to drink, but storing water to flush the toilet with is perfectly acceptable using those containers. And it's not using up your good containers. Use those big gallon containers that you get the laundry detergent in strictly for water for the toilet.
Yes.
Yes. And Discover Sustainable, Miss Nina, tell them how you can flush your toilet with water if the water's not flowing into your toilet.
If you take, a gallon jug of water, when you pour it into your toilet bowl, you pour enough water in there, it's going to automatically flush. It's going to cause it to flush. And you won't need to even
It's
push
called
the
a
button.
gravity flush.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
It's called a gravity flush, and we do that often. Like, we have buckets and we have a watering tank out here for cattle and things. So that's what we use whenever, because like if the power goes out here, we do have generators, but we don't want those generators running all day long to pump water from our well into the house. So what we'll do is we turn it on long enough to fill everything back up to refill the water we've used. And then, so we'll turn it back off after that short amount of time, and we'll haul water from the cattle tank out here to flush for our buckets, flush our toilets with buckets, just to save on our potable water.
Smart.
Right.
So that's an option if you live out in the country.
Yeah. So there was a time when I was, I don't know, a member of a had a cabin, with rain catchment. So if your solar system is not strong enough to last the day, right? And your
Yeah.
solar power
Yes.
runs out, your pump's going to stop working. Well, when you got to go, right? You put
Yes.
it
Yep.
those gallon containers of water were stored specifically for if the solar power ran out and you needed to flush the toilet. And it works fabulous, can I tell you?
Yes. Nina, when you make those faces, you crack me up so hard. Try and hold it together.
I'm just saying.
She's just saying it. I totally feel her. I feel it. I felt it, bro. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Milkmaid. Good to see you. Okay,
Because not
so
everybody can have 28 solar panels, okay? But
yeah, okay.
yeah, because like, how am I going to cook stuff and like do my hair? I mean, there's no reason you can't look fabulous in an emergency.
Absolutely.
And somebody will help me. I like that Carolyn said her girls drink. It's along the lines of what Nina said in storing water, if I could communicate. I'm having a little trouble. I speak 2 languages. I can't manage one right now. But it's like Wednesday. I'm a little tired, okay? And I'm old, all right? So you have to deal with it. Her kids drink those 2-gallon juices, so she puts water in those. It's a food-safe container. You know why?
Right.
Say it with me. Food came in it. Okay.
Yes.
Don't be going, I got to get me like a $79.99 Aqua Square. Okay. If water or liquid came in it, I'm not talking about bleach, the stuff that you can drink. It's good to reuse. So I want to talk about the water bomb, but I got something better and I showed it like a month ago, but I've slept since then. And like, I forgot, and my roots may be blonde since I've gone gray, but it's the water bomb, but it's not. Because it's made in the USA, holds 100 gallons. You fill it up from your bathtub. That's all I got.
Nice.
Somebody could figure the name out, but it's made in America, and it's that BPA,
America. It's
LSD free, whatever. Yeah.
America. That's
America.
right. Okay, now you also, in thinking about water, have to remember that, like, if you have dehydrated or freeze-dried food on hand, you will need additional water to rehydrate and cook those foods, people. So you have to have extra potable water for that. If you have a well, we talked about non-electric ways to access water, a hand pump, a windmill, a solar pump. A generator for a short term is great, but long term, you're going to have you'll have an issue with fuel.
Yep.
So a solar generator may be a solution as well. But again, like Nina said, if there's storms around, snowing, stuff like that, we're blocking out the sun, you might be in trouble. So just think about all of those things. Okay, now cleanliness. Next subject, if we're done with water, unless somebody has something else on water.
Well, I think something we've talked about before on some of Nina's chats. Like, I store my water, remember, in a 90-gallon potable tub. It's a drum, okay? The issue is when you try to wash your hands in it. So we've talked before about the large container you can sit next to your sink that has a nozzle so you can wash your hands under it. You're not trying to pour from a milk jug with some soap in your hand, put the milk jug down, soap up your hands, pick it up, and rinse it off.
Yeah.
You have to have a convenient way to wash your dishes in a dish plastic tub. Let me tell you, you have not lived until you get up in the morning and realize you have nothing but ice cold water, and you got to brush your teeth with that. If you think if drinking orange juice after brushing your teeth is bad, you will teach a sailor new words, okay? So I'm brushing my teeth. Ooh, I got it all going. I use my little electric toothbrush because it's got a battery. And then I take a swig of that ice cold water, and my husband heard me outside under the house, okay? And he comes running up thinking there's like a giant cockroach on my face. It was so, my teeth hurt for like 3 hours, okay? And I have all my teeth, thank you, and I'd like to keep them. Don't do that, okay? So you got to have a little water source in your bathroom to brush your teeth and rinse with. Just saying, Nina. Nina looks like she might have been there.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Over on Pilled, CB's daughter says, we get creek water to flush our toilets with. In the winter, we get buckets of snow and let it melt. We set the buckets in the tub or shower to melt. So that's a
Smart.
very smart idea, too. Excellent tip there, CB's daughter.
You see what Carolyn said? She said, don't wash your hair or your delicate bits with ice water. Another life clue, ladies.
No, right?
We're not afraid to talk
Hallelujah.
about this stuff here.
Yes.
Don't
Yeah,
dip your washcloth in that and get to getting, okay? No.
that'll wake you up for sure, let me tell you.
It'll have you talking ugly.
Oh, God.
You'll end up in the ER. I'm sorry, ma'am. How'd you end up with hypothermia again?
And your lady bits. Yeah.
Frostbite on your lady bits.
Woo, that's the way you end a marriage, right? Woo.
Oh,
Now's a good time when they die.
Well, alrighty then.
Oh, the milkmaid said that'll make you suck in all the oxygen in the room. You are not lying, sister. Oh my goodness.
Y'all do understand that all these women, we're getting it because I'm pretty sure most of us have been there. That's why we're talking about it. We ain't scared to talk about it. Right?
You're right.
Okay.
Oh my word.
So,
Okay.
Tasha, you just took this down a bad road, and me and Nina had nothing to do with it. We came for a very proper chat on power outage.
Yeah, right. Yeah, y'all are bad influences.
Dirty water.
Bad girls.
Oh my goodness. I love it.
Okay.
I love it. I have missed this. Can I tell you? I have missed this.
I told you, it's the old band is back together. I've had the worst day ever, and I'm like, I'm going to see Tasha. I'm going to see the Nina Bug, the side chatters. Yes.
Yes. All right, next subject, cleanliness. We must maintain cleanliness in a grid down situation. Disease thrives when cleanliness fails, folks. Yes, and I just made that up, okay? That was all me. I didn't steal that from nobody, okay? Okay. So, solar showers are a great way to stay clean. Keep yourself clean. The sun heats up the water, so you're not using any fuel or energy. Just remember, you'll also need something to hang outside for privacy, or a small structure or visual barrier so that your neighbors aren't sneaking a peek while you're out there cleaning yourself up, okay?
And what?
So I'm going to go get something because it pertains to this particular subject. Okay.
Okay.
Cleanliness is next to godliness.
Oh yeah.
Bear with me 1 second. I'm going to go get it, and I'm going to come back and show you what it is.
Okay.
We're taking it to church.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the suspense. The suspense.
When Nina's serious, y'all need to get scared because Nina's looking serious. I'm scared.
Okay, so to wash dishes and laundry, you may want to boil water. So a way to do that, folks, okay? One area of cleanliness we need to discuss is waste management. This is not a fun subject, but it needs to be discussed. We all go number 1 and number 2, people. So if the power's down for a very long time, there's no power to pump septic systems in the city, sewer systems, and all of that can get backed up, and that can be a very nasty mess, okay? So and dangerous too. That's a health hazard because it's not just your poo that's going to be coming back towards you. That's other people's stuff as well. Whew. What? Bamboo panties?
I'm trying to mute. I'm not wearing hard underwear. What did you do? Are they rounds like the old chastity belt? I'm thinking, how do you glue the pieces of bamboo? I have to go for a minute, okay, because I cannot freaking breathe after.
Oh my God.
Okay, Miss Nina, what do you have to show us?
Okay, so y'all know that some of us girls cannot do a cold freaking shower, and I am one of them. It makes me so mad if I have to take a cold shower, like really mad.
Sorry. Mouse is dying.
Yes, she is. So I have had issues with my hot water heater. No, let me correct that. My water heater. All right. Before. So I always have a backup for a hot shower. Do you see this mechanism right here?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a redneck bidet too.
It is. It is. This is a godsend. It has never had anything in it but water. Okay. No chemicals whatsoever go in this. If you are having issues and you need a hot shower, you fill this. It's a 2-gallon container. You put 1 gallon of cold water in here, or maybe 1.5 gallons of cold water in here from whatever source you are using. And then on your fire, you take a 1/2 gallon, a quart, or whatever, and you get it hot. When you pour it over in this 2-gallon container with the rest of the water, right, it will make the perfect temperature for a shower. You stand it up. Yes, stand it up on the side of your, tub or whatever, and you can take a hot shower and not be mad at the world and try to shoot everybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it works.
There you go.
Yep.
Yep. And if somebody gets to stinking, you can just chase them around with that. If like they're shower shy.
Absolutely.
I am so glad you showed that because I can't cold water. I ain't no Yankee, right? I mean, I'm not going to be that polar bear woman who goes running in Michigan ice water. That's just stupid. That's how you have heart attacks.
That's
Southern
right.
do that. Okay. So I am so thankful you showed that because that is epic. And even the little solar bags, you know what I mean? It makes a difference. How do you wash under your arms when your lady bits when you're all clenched up like somebody stapled you together? I cannot do cold water. I just can't.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I cannot do a cold shower. I will stab with somebody. Stab them with a knife.
And you'll feel like you're being stabbed with a knife. CR makes a great point. Put it under a tub and reuse the water to flush, for example. Things like that.
Yes.
So it's a great. I can do a cold shower in the summer. I'm not going to do it in the winter, though, peeps.
No.
Not happening. Not happening. Okay, so alternatives, like if the septic can no longer be used for whatever reason, okay? You need an alternate. You need an alternate to your indoor toilet. So maybe like a luggable loo that you can empty out into a designated area, or a composting toilet, or you can do something depending on where you live, like your own outhouse, known as a pit latrine. You just want to make sure that it's at least 100 feet from your water source. You want it as far away from your water source as you can get, truthfully, people. Okay, you want it on the downgrade side of the water supply so that it's not it can't back up and flow into your water supply, because you don't want your water source polluted, people. Okay, we don't need people getting sick from that kind of stuff. And then you also need a way to take care of your trash, because services may be out for a while in a long-term situation. So, like a burn barrel to burn your trash, or dig a pit to burn your trash in. A way, making sure you're not burning the trash when the wind's high up, when it's real dry conditions, things like that. Anybody else have anything on waste management and trash?
Yeah, burning it is, in my opinion, the best option, as unpleasant as it will be. But if the septic systems are not working, especially for those on city sewer, you're going to need, to do that. Those of us with a septic system, like I just freaking paid for, $7,000, yes.
Worth it.
It is not a city sewer. It is a freestanding septic system. So, as long as you maintain that, you may not have any issues. The paper, when you have, a situation, do not put paper in your septic system.
Yeah.
Burn that, because you want to avoid issues as long as you can. And I don't know, that's just my opinion. Everybody knows it. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I can tell you I know what I'm talking about.
You never want the honey wagon coming to suck out the solids and the unchopped up paper and the grease out of your septic tank.
Absolutely.
The guy who drives that around and sucks out the outhouses for construction sites, he drives the honey wagon. I've been here 9 years and ain't nobody had to suck out my septic, and I had a plumber for grins put a camera down it. He said, "My God, it's pristine." Because even company knows you put nothing down my toilet, okay, but by certain toilet papers, okay? I have grease catchers, do not come for it. And that $7,000 is worth every penny, Nina.
Yes.
Okay? It is so worth it because you are not paying that fee on city water where you actually use $30 worth of water, but you're paying a $98 sewerage fee.
Right.
And my brother and I were in charge of, in Louisiana, when power went out, getting the luggable loos. They weren't that fancy, right? We was rednecks and we were poor. And my dad would yell, "Who's on the poop? Who's on the poop? Give me poop, give me poop," right? So we had two ones, one for poop and one for pee. And it sounds outrageous, but you have absolutely got to have a place, because your kids or your friends will walk right out the door under the covering of your soffit and pee right along your house, because everybody wants to smell that, right? No, they don't. So these are, listen, we talk about menstrual cups here shooting out your hooch like a bottle rocket. We talk about things here that big people talk about when there's no power. We do. We just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are things that people don't want to talk about, but they're things that, people will have to deal with it. Okay. And so somebody needs to talk about it, so people who may not know what to do about it can get a clue, get an idea and learn. Okay. On laundry, whether you're using a tub or an old-fashioned washboard or a bucket and plunger, you'll want a way to clean your laundry. Like Nina said, you can save your old laundry containers, put water in those. That way you have water. I mean, it's already got some detergent residue in it, so you can use that to wash your laundry with. And then you'll also want a way to dry your clothes. So like line drying in the summer, in the warmer seasons, and then like a drying rack that you could put in front of a wood burning fire or whatever in the winter. If you have a wood burning fire, that's a big tip there. If you can do a wood burning fire, that would be phenomenal. Okay.
Fabulous.
Anything?
Absolutely fabulous.
Anything else on the laundry, girls?
Yeah. So those containers, that you are putting water in for laundry. So, a thought is you have a laundry detergent container. You've put water in it. You have an old used up bar of soap. Throw that bar of soap over in that container and save that for laundry water. Mm-hmm. You're not going to be drinking it. You can, flush it or whatever, use it to flush with. But, those old bars of soap, can be, what's the word I'm looking for? Not thrown away. Don't get rid of them. Use them to put in a container together to make liquid soap. Yes. Don't throw away those used bars of soap.
Definitely. A lot of people do. Once they get little scraps they can hardly hold on to, they just throw them away, and it's a waste when they can use it for something like that. Let's see. Food. So let's talk about food. If you have an electric stove, guys, it's not going to work in a power outage unless you have a generator to generate electric. And in the long term, that's eventually going to run out of fuel, likely, unless you have a solar and it is kick butt sunny all the time where you're at. So you'll need an alternative way to cook your food, such as like a charcoal grill, a propane grill, a rocket stove, a fire pit, a camp stove. Long term, though, you're going to have to see which ones will be more efficient on the fuel, because if fuel runs out, you don't have access to it anymore. Things like a grill, a charcoal grill, you can still put wood in there and cook in it. You know, use it for fuel. And a rocket stove, same way. You could do a fire pit and have a grate sitting over it to cook. But you also need to make sure that if you do, that you have pots and pans that will work for your alternative fuel source, because those little cheapo aluminum ones with the rubber coated handles probably not gonna last very long on an open fire. So consider having some heavy duty ones, even if you find them at thrift stores or wherever, having some heavy duty pans and pots and skillets to cook with.
Yeah, I actually made a rocket stove using 2 stock pots from Walmart.
Oh.
And it works fantastic. It's heavy, you know, because I used sand to insulate it, and the sand makes it heavy. It's not as light as one of the ones that you buy, but it will cook a meal. Yes, it will.
Do you have a video of that available anymore, Nina?
I think I do on Rural Readiness. I'll need to go pull it.
Okay, that'd be so worth it. That is brilliant, because we talk about that all the time, and most people on the side say cast iron. You don't take your cute little pots you got from Walmart and go out and heat up some corn on an open fire. Okay, because your pots.
No.
Yeah.
So and also having for short-term power outages, you can do those, like those aluminum pans and things like that you get, you know, that are just the foil pans. You can have some of those on hand for things like that as well, and some extra foil to put over the top to cook some things. But like Bushcraft Family says, aluminum releases fumes when it gets too hot, so you have to consider that as well.
Because that's the most important thing. You may have a lot of canned goods if you're in a snow area and soups, but you have to have a way to heat it up.
Right.
And it's got to be safe. You need to be able to reuse that pot, not ruin every pot you have. And, you know, after you cook on an open stove, even on cast iron, it's coated in black. If you touch the bottom of it before you wash it, your hand's black. Now everybody's got a little bit of charcoal on them, and it don't come out your darn clothes in an emergency.
Yeah. Make sure you have separate pot holders and things like that for your outdoor cooking as well, because of that, because it will stain it up really quick. Storing pre-made foods that are shelf stable is the best option for short term, like things like soups, canned meats and veggies, whether they're home canned or store bought. Okay. For long term outages, beans, rice, freeze dried and dehydrated foods along with canned soups is best. Just be sure to store enough water for those foods again, folks. But in a really bad situation, the last thing you want to do is be measuring out your beans, putting them on to cook for 4 hours, and using up your fuel from your camp stove or whatever. So you have to keep that in mind too. That's where those pre-made meals come in, like canning your own beans. If they're already pre-canned, they're ready to go, and all you got to do is just heat them up. You're not using as much fuel that way in a grid down situation. So be thinking about your fuel usage and how to preserve that. Hey, Gray Man Prepping, good to see you. So that's a big thing. Now, if you have all this food in your freezer and your refrigerator that's fresh, and it's a major event that's happened, and your power is going to be out long term, do you have a way to prepare that food so that you're not losing it all? Okay, do you have some place to store it, like a root cellar, or do you have a way to can that food up? Go ahead and can it up, or smoke the meats that are in your freezer, or salt some of the meat that's in your freezer. Do you have things like that that can help you preserve that food that you have? You know, to me, that's a pretty important thing to remember, and having all of the supplies on hand to do that.
Yeah. So, you know, you have a major event and you have no power. do you have enough fuel for the generator to keep that freezer running until you can get that food out of that freezer and get it canned up? The first thing that I would do if my power went out, which I've done before, grab the generator, crank it, get my freezers plugged into it so that I don't lose my food. I've been through that and it is not fun.
Yeah. Nope, it isn't. Yeah, that's what we do. We use our generator and it's mainly for our freezer. But in a long-term scenario, okay, a lot of people don't think about this. If your power goes out in the winter and it's really cold outside, you can store food outside if it's below, safe food levels, like 40 degrees or below. You can store food outside. You can have ice chests that you fill up, take snow if there's snow on the ground, pack it on top of it and store it outside if you live where you can do that. In a long-term scenario, grid down, if I lived in a city, I would probably be out. I'd be gone because I don't like, especially a high-rise apartment complex, things like that. I just don't, sanitation alone is going to get ridiculously disgusting, with the power, the trash piling up and things like that outside.
Oh, yeah, you know it.
Yeah, because people are going to take their trash sacks out and they're just going to sit them out at the dumpster until it's so piled it's out in the streets and everything else because there's nowhere else to put it. So, in that situation, you need to have an alternative shelter or a backup place to go in that situation.
Yeah, Gray Man Prepping has a good point. So if you manage your generator use and not waste your generator use, so only use that to cool your freezers, that you can run them for 4 to 5 hours and then shut them off. Leave your freezer closed, it will remain frozen. You have to manage that usage with alternating and just running your generator only when you need to. That's very important. A lot of people don't think about it. Oh, just plug it up to the generator and leave it running. We'll be fine.
Oh,
yeah. And it's expensive too, like to just constantly be running your generator. You can't do that. And that's like I said about the water. We do have a separate generator to pump our water, but again, we don't run that all day long. We turn it on for a set amount of time. We refill everything back up, so that we're not using so much of our stored potable water. We fill everything back up, wash up if we need to real quick, and do all of that, and then we turn the water back off. So we don't have our water for our generator running constantly and using up that fuel.
I like what Southernmost Illinois just said, and I was thinking the same. You need that exterior thermometer hanging out of your freezer because, like Nina said, you have to manage it. And Gil said run it 30 minutes for every 20 to 30 minutes every 6 hours. But with that external thermometer showing you the temperature, you'd be able to manage that generator use. That was a very good idea, Nina.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to do it. Okay. Anything else on as far as in the topic of food, ladies? Can you think of anything else we hadn't covered yet?
Yeah.
Hey, Kaylin.
The only thing I can say is can it all.
Yes. And it's not just going to be you and your house, right? Food is very soul satisfying. And if you're doing a lot of work, like keeping your driveway shoveled in case you need emergency helper to get out in snow, it's going to require a lot of calories. We're in a hot climate. I'm hungry. Nina don't get hot water. She's ready to cut people. I don't get chocolate in food. I am going to cut people. So, and you're going to have a lot of people in the house that are suddenly bored, right? They don't have the TV on. They don't have their computer, their video games, and food is very satisfying. You have to manage that food.
Yeah. Yeah. And also how satisfying is it whenever you've been working your tail end off all day that you can go to the cupboard and you can get a nice meal like homemade stew or chili or soup or beans, and you can take that and just warm it up and you have a good tasty homemade meal right there and not have to be heating up your house in the summer you know, cooking your food, or having to get a fire going outside to get everything started to cook a meal. I mean, that's a lot of work, and you don't want to be standing next to a hot fire in the heat of summer trying to cook a meal. So this way, it's a lot less work to have to do, and it's satisfying just to have it ready meals right there, ready to grab.
The milkmaid, I love her. Try not to can the hubs and the kids when the canning bug hits you.
Yeah, no kidding. Because you get addicted, and it's just like you're just constantly looking for something. What else can I can? Okay, let's move on to the subject of lighting. Flashlights with extra batteries, candles, lamps and lamp oil, battery-powered lamps with extra batteries, light sticks, like the glow sticks, Kim lights, and headlamps with extra batteries. They're all great options. So you can also do ones that you plug in and you charge. So you'd need like some kind of a solar battery bank to plug that into to recharge those things. Any other tips on lighting, ladies?
Yeah, and I can tell you, if the grid is down or there's a situation, right, you're going to be outdoors all day. Come nighttime, you're going to be tired. This old girl is going to be tired. When it gets dark outside, I'm going to be wanting to close my eyes and go to sleep. Think about that. You're going to need to be outdoors, taking care of business, doing your crops, taking care of your animals, guarding your animals, during the daylight hours. It's going to go back, if that ever happens, it's going to go back to the way it was back in the olden days before electricity was around. You work from daylight to dark. Come dark, you're ready to go to bed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I also like when you're talking about lighting is the Lucy light, the solars. Remember that smush down? And then you pop them up and you hang them in the sun. They give a nice glow next to your stove. And just what Nina said, you will control the time everybody's in bed. Be very careful using tubs of Crisco. Be very careful with open candles. If you have cats, if you have dogs, they have tails that swish around. Ain't nobody burn their house down. I love the solar powered flashlights also. They're not for security because if you're trying to crank it up to see, they're noisy. But if you got kids or whatever, let them use those flashlights. But be very, very careful. I love the, Tasha brought up the oil lamps, right? And I've got the safety things on them, the covers, and then I have the extra feet that, I mean, it would, I don't know, a grown man would have to jump on the counter, right, and kick it off like a football. But be very careful with what your lighting source is. You're not leaving an open candle in your bathroom where nobody's back there. So
that's a great point. And also, like kids often get scared in the dark. So having extra little headlamps and flashlights for them is nice, and it's also comforting. So you have to think about kids whenever you're prepping on all of these things as well, including their foods that they like and things like that, because in a real crazy situation, you don't want to be changing things up too much. It's going to, some kids, if their routines are interrupted too much, it gets bad. But yeah, I mean, and that's another thing, conserving your lighting. Like Nina said, most people are going to be tired. You don't have to stay up hours on end once it's dark. Get your stuff done before it's dark, and set it to where everybody's crawling in bed when it gets dark. Get cleaned up and crawl in bed. And so that's what people used to do before we had all of this stuff. I mean, generally they went to bed when it was dark and woke up when the sun came up, and that's how they lived. So if they can do it, we can do it, people. May not be fun, especially for me. I'm a night person, but I can do it and have done it.
Me too.
So let's see. Yeah, your light, your eyes can adjust to the lower light. That's true, and that helps. Let's see. And we saw a couple of people, I think, Virginia Roots maybe, and then CB's daughter talking about filling old water jugs or milk jugs with water and put them in your freezer to help extend the cold of your freezer. Your freezer runs more efficiently when it's full anyways. And so having those jugs of basically ice water, just don't fill them up all the way. Make sure you leave a good inch and a half head space because it expands as it's freezing. So
Yeah, Gray Man Prepping brought up the solar powered walkway lights should be brought inside so they don't grow legs.
yeah.
Well, I can tell you those solar powered walkway lights, if you set them outside in the morning and they charge all day, you bring them in at night and they make perfect lights.
Yep,
Oh, nice.
you can use those. You can take the leg off of it and just sit it in on top of the mason jar. You can do that. Yeah. Or you can just sit the whole thing with the steak in a mason jar or cup, just something to prop it up.
Yep.
They make great.
Yeah, and they're rechargeable. So
All right. Aussie Mom's home now and not driving, so she can chat now. She can chat it up. All right. So yeah, that's a great point. You know, anything that's like that, you want to make sure if it can grow legs that you bring it in at night, if at all possible, because you, especially if you have neighbors that you're concerned about, especially in an even longer term situation. All right, let's talk about heat. So propane heater.
Wood stove,
Yeah.
wood stove, wood stove.
Yep, we have a wood stove. That's our main source of heat, and it's our number one prep. It's the most favorite prep we've ever gotten. It's the best money we've ever spent. Well worth it, in my opinion.
Yes.
So you could also do a propane heater, a natural gas heater, or a wood burning stove fireplace. All are options to keep you warm. Consider moving everyone to one room. And closing up the rest of the house if you are having a problem heating your house when it's cold, like if you have central heat and air normally. If you don't have alternative heating method, then close off a small room and have everyone stay in that room. If you don't have a way to close it off, hang curtains, even shower curtains, the vinyl shower curtains, hanging those or taping those up in your doorways to where it's a barrier to hold the heat in. You can hold your body heat in that way, having a closed area. Even I saw people do this with the Texas storms that happened, erecting tents to where you could further enclose that in if you needed to. So those are all ways to use shared body heat to stay warm. Hot water bottle, filling it up with hot water. Just be careful you don't get burned, but holding that to your core is a good way to warm you up. The inner thighs have large vessels that can also help transfer heat to your body and your feet. Those are all ways to help warm you up. Hey, SOP.
SOP.
SOP in the house. And then also have extra blankets and sleeping bags on hand, people. No rule says you can't use sleeping bags inside your home. Use those things to help keep you warm and store your body heat. Solar blankets, those solar reflective blankets can be great to help reflect your body heat.
Sleep with your kids. Put them under the blanket with you,
Cuddle, folks, cuddle.
Absolutely.
Those hot water bottles can also be used to put cool water in the summertime to cool you down as well. So remember that. Those are one of my favorite preps, you guys. Seriously. It's one of my favorite preps. If somebody's overheated the back of the neck using that cool water bottle, you can also fill up soda bottles or regular, drinking water bottles, things like that. Fill them up with cool water. And you can use that to put on the back of the neck, the chest, the core, ways to cool yourself down.
When I had meat rabbits in the summer, I would fill Coke bottles, plastic Coke bottles, with water, freeze them to put in the cage with the rabbits to keep them cool.
Oh, smart.
Yeah. A battery powered fan or even hand fans can help cool you. But, you don't want to be spending all day doing this, okay? So battery-powered hand fan or a battery-powered fan, a way to charge it, extra batteries or whatever for it. Peppermint essential oil is great for cooling. You can dilute it a little bit with coconut or olive oil, some kind of a fatty oil, just because it can be hot, like to the skin, like it can have a burning effect. But if you just add it with a little bit of coconut or olive oil or something and put a few drops in with like just a tiny bit of coconut or olive oil, you can rub it on the back of your neck, the bottoms of your feet. It'll have a cooling effect. So that's a
Yeah.
good tip.
And I can also
Hot
give you
flashes.
another tip for in the South where it gets freaking hot, right? Um, I had a stock tank full of water in the heat of the day, and this was when I was without power, so no air conditioning, right? In the heat of the day,
Yeah.
go swimming in the stock tank. It'll cool you off and keep you from getting overheated.
Oh,
I put my grandkids in there in the heat of the day, let them play in the stock tank, like a bath outside, just let them play in it. Get in there and
Yep.
cool off. Like when you're working outside and you get overheated, go get in the stock tank.
Yeah,
wow.
that's a great point. Or a river or creek if you have one near your house. There you can lay there and naked. And naked? What are you talking about, Master?
Naked.
If you need
Wetting
it
down your
correctly.
clothing. Wetting down your clothing and just trying to sit in a breezy area, kind of like Gray Man Prepping talking about a battery powered fan blowing on a wet tail is like a makeshift swamp cooler. It would do the same effect if your clothes are damp and you're sitting in the wind. It'll help cool you as well. Anything else on keeping cool?
No.
All right. What about communication? Having a solar battery charger for your phone. You need some sort of battery bank for your phone. In addition, a battery-powered radio with built-in solar charger or a solar charging station for it to be plugged into would be handy to keep apprised of what's going on, keeping up with the news in your local area as well as the greater area. For a more long-term situation, something like battery-powered ham radios or two-way radios would be beneficial. Not only to keep apprised of situations, but for security purposes. Like if you have somebody watching your premises, being able to communicate back, and especially those ones that have the headsets with the speakers, like the mics on it, so that if somebody is contacting you, somebody else, if they're nearby, isn't hearing that communication.
Yeah, I just put a video up on my channel just a few minutes ago about ham radio. What?
Oh, yeah? I seriously want to learn about. I think we lost her.
Oh my God.
And ham radio is not a radio, ham cut into the shape of a radio. Okay, just saying. For all of you who may be a little dense, yeah, that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, we don't have any dense side chatters. We're all rocket scientists. Okay,
Absolutely.
And also remember, there's no reason to go, oh my God, like it's 2 hours in a power outage and my phone is dead. You can get that little auxiliary pack. It'll run 30 hours. It's 29 bucks. Who the hell? They'll have extra hard drives, right? But they won't have an extra battery pack. It's crazy. It makes me mental.
Yeah.
Just put that video up. That's freaking awesome that you bring that up.
That's awesome, Virginia. She just bought a ham, and Moose gave her the info for the test and licensing. I have a book on it. I got to study it. Moose, not mouse.
I know, it's Moose. Remember when people called me Moose Toes all the time? Hey,
I know.
So I'm like, oh my God. Milkmaid, I was holding on by a thread, bro. And when Nina goes, what? Okay, it sends me over the edge.
Oh my gosh. Okay, and the last thing I have on my list is just, your medical. You need to have extra medication because if the power's out, the doctor's office isn't going to be open. You may not be able to get to getting something refilled. So you want to have extra medications on hand. You need to have extra over-the-counter medications on hand as well. You want to have extra medical supplies on hand, including trauma first aid supplies, especially in a long-term grid down. somebody might be trying to come after your food and supplies or your family people. So you need to have a way to protect yourself. So also remember that freedom sticks, freedom seeds, bows and arrows, whatever you can legally have in your area, you need to get it and know how to use it properly. Okay. And with that, I'm done. You guys have anything to add? That I'm sure I forgot a million things.
Oh, I'm sure we could talk forever, but I can't think of anything right offhand. You mouse, what?
Yes, you say Nina, dang it. Okay. I love
You guys remember, even if you have a generator, there are certain appliances in your house that you probably won't be able to use, like your washing machine and dryer, that really suck a lot of power. So you have to keep that in mind as well. So even if it's a short term, you may need to do something else as far as washing your clothing and things like that.
Nobody is washing their underwears. Have extra pair of underwears. So when these things come up, in the name of God, make sure your husband has a lot of extra underwears. Okay? Because ain't nobody washing nothing. Okay? Good God.
In the meantime, have a redneck bidet also for
absolutely.
them to wash their hiney hose.
Yeah. Listen, if you don't have a guest room for a power outage, get one. That's where you put him. Your marriage will last long like mine. Okay? Other rooms. I don't need a man 900 degrees. I'm on his head in the winter. In the summer, he can
Oh my gosh,
under the house or something. He's too hot. God had a plan there. Remember, we're cold, they're hot. We wouldn't get near their stinky butts if it weren't for God's plan. And they kill bugs and they heavy things. It was evil, Nina. I see what you said. I totally did that on purpose. Okay, she set me up with.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, we're at
mouse toes. You missed me.
I love you.
We're at a little over an hour, so I guess we'll call it. But thank you, Mouse Toes, from the Mouse Toes channel on YouTube. You need to subscribe to her, guys and gals. Get her done. Thank you, Nina, with Discover Sustainable channel here on YouTube. I appreciate you, ladies, and your insight. I love you both so much. Thank you, everybody over on Pilled and here on YouTube. You know I love you. If you ever need anything, you're welcome to email me, cllmecrzy@gmail.com. I appreciate y'all. Love you. God bless. And guys and gals, please remember to prep for it. Okay? Prep for it all. Thanks for watching. Good night.